Hey, what's up, guys? Russ Anderson, AndersonSecurityConsulting.com. Anderson Security Consulting on Facebook, Instagram, on Twitter. It's exec_protect. All that stuff will be linked in the description below. Please consider hitting like and subscribing to the channel. That helps the channel grow, get the word out, helps support the channel as well too. And if you have any comments, please leave them below. If you have any video suggestions, please send an email to AndersonSecurityConsulting@gmail.com. That's AndersonSecurityConsulting@gmail.com, and I will get back to you guys as quickly as I can. All right, so the meat and potatoes of this video is about an old situation, a few years old now. Tekashi 6ix9ine, rapper out of New York, Brooklyn-based rapper. Danny Hernandez, his birth name or government name, as some of you would say. And the downfall of the Nine Trey gangster bloods, right? So Nine Trey gangster bloods, very big blood set. A lot of very prominent people, members of that particular blood set. So here's what happened. Tekashi 6ix9ine kind of joins or forms an alliance with him. Whether or not he was an actual member or not is still up for debate, but he was affiliated with them. So he was affiliated with them. I guess it started with a rap video he was putting together, and he wanted some actual gang members in his video to add some authenticity. Okay, that's fine. Well, here's what happens. He winds up pretty much going into business with them. One of their members, a gentleman by the name of Shadi, winds up being his manager. Then you had other guys named Harv and all these other guys, Nuke and who knows, a bunch of different guys. They're all involved with Tekashi 6ix9ine. So initially, this is what the Nine Trey gangster bloods did wrong. Number one, they admitted him into the gang or brought him into their close circle in the first place. Anybody can look at Tekashi 6ix9ine and knows he's not about that gang life. He's not a gangbanger. I'm not saying he's a punk, because he doesn't seem to be a coward. He seems to talk and say whatever he wants to whoever he wants about however he wants. And, he seems to try to move with impunity. I don't think it's very smart or very wise of him to do so, but, I don't think the man's a coward is what I'm saying. But he's clearly not a gangbanger. And, I'll make a video another time later on. Most people who are in gangs shouldn't be in gangs. So, and this is coming from my perspective. I'm not a gangbanger, never been in a gang. I am what most people would call a square. So I'm not a gangbanger. Have I known plenty of gangbangers? Yes, especially out in the West Coast. When I lived in Los Angeles, I knew a bunch of guys. I was never affiliated with what they do. I knew most of them from playing basketball. And that's how I knew guys. And so we talk during the games, after the games, before the games, and they tell me different things about their particular life, and I would pretty much do it from a curiosity perspective, what made them join in the first place. So anyway, but that's another video. So Nine Trey bloods, they're making money now. They're making regular money, not just the money from that video, but they're making ongoing and consistent money from this gentleman, Tekashi 6ix9ine. So here's what they failed to do. They failed to recognize the opportunity in front of them. All right, so you've got a rapper who's very popular. At one point, he was probably the most searched and most popular rapper around at the time, around 2018, 2019, 2020, so around 2017. I guess he blew up with a song called Gummo, and he was incredibly popular. So they're making money, to where, guys like Shadi and, some of these other guys are driving Mercedes Benzes and Bentleys and everything else, and they're living large. And so the opportunity in front of them was this. We have literally a goose that lays golden eggs, and they failed to recognize that opportunity. And here's what happens when you fail to recognize opportunities. All right, so they didn't recognize that. They thought short term instead of long term. All right, short term is let's get as much money as we can from this dude. And I guess there was some sort of conflict where one of the gentlemen and Shadi were arguing or in conflict about who was going to be getting the bulk of the money. Shadi wound up getting the bulk of the money. Well, one of these individuals wound up kidnapping 6ix9ine, beating him up, and robbing him of about $300,000 worth of jewels. So again, because they failed to recognize the opportunity in front of them, here's what they should have done. Number one, they should have put a structure in place and said, okay, Shadi's his manager. Guess what? You're in charge of his security. You and you. You make sure to protect him from external sources or threats, but also from internal threats. Because let's remember, this is a criminal organization. This is a street gang. This is a blood set. And so, criminal street gangs are not known for being benevolent organizations. They're a bunch of wolves. And so, and Tekashi 6ix9ine looked like a big plate of food. He looked like an all-you-can-eat buffet. And so they're all trying to eat as quickly as they can. So like if you ever put a bunch of food down for your dogs, guess what they do? They're all in there right away. So they failed to see the opportunity. Here's what they should have done conversely. Well, we're going to go into that in a little bit. So Tekashi 6ix9ine, here's what wound up happening to him, because these individuals were dissatisfied with the distribution of the money. And again, you join a gang thinking it's going to be brotherhood and everything else is, going to be really, really good. Make a bunch of money and see what happens. Then you're going to see the real dynamics, and you're going to see people not wanting to share. Okay, and a part of that is human nature, but again, you're asking criminals to do the right thing, and by their very nature, they're not going to do the right thing. So, Shotty's getting the bulk of the money. Mel, one of these other guys is upset. He's not making money. He robs 6ix9ine, kidnapped him, threw him in the trunk, robbed him, took $300,000 worth of his jewelry. Another member is supposedly or allegedly sleeping with his baby mother. Another one is allegedly sleeping with his girlfriend. And the list goes on and on and on. And so, if Shotty were a little bit more business savvy, here's what he would have done. You put those protections in place. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna form a business entity, and they could have taken that opportunity and changed it into something that could have been life-changing for all of them, not just one or two. So what they should have done instead is say, okay, we're gonna protect this guy. He's the goose that's laying the golden eggs. We want to protect the goose that's laying the golden eggs at all costs. Why? He's worth the money. Nobody's there to watch the rest of them rap or listen to the rest of them rap. He was making the money. So you take that, you start a record company, a record label, and you start getting 6ix9ine, hey man, you want to sign this guy, you want to sign that guy. Maybe you got some guys in your set that got talent. Start developing new talent. Start developing new business off of that. Start investing that. But instead, here's what they did. They victimize the dude over and over and over again. This is a guy that's not made for this sort of thing. He's not a street guy. He's not a tough guy. And they're putting so much pressure on this guy. Then they start talking about, they get caught on video because he said something about the Nine Trey Bloods, saying that they were nothing but without him. And okay, that was a tactical error on his part. He probably shouldn't have said that publicly, even though he was probably extremely frustrated with the things that were going on. Remember, we're right in the middle of him being robbed and everything else, beaten up, extorted. His girlfriends are being messed with. His baby mama's being messed with. He was probably not really feeling that, I would imagine. So you look at from his standpoint, what is he going to do? Is he going to beat up one of these guys? No, he wasn't. He wasn't putting hands on any of these guys, man. That would work out very, very poorly for him. So he's in a bad situation already, and it's getting worse. And here's how it gets worse. So Shotty, who's his manager, is recorded, or either Shotty or Mel Murder. Please forgive me. So they're on recording with I guess another rapper named Jim Jones, talking about what he's saying and what he's doing, and they say, okay, he needs to get violated or super violated. And so violated means you get beat up or punishment. Super violated means maybe either a severe beating or worse. I won't say it because of the YouTube algorithms, but I think you can understand what I'm saying. So they're painting him into a corner, a very, very narrow corridor that he's given. He's got no way out. He gets caught. Police run up on him. The feds run up on him. They're like, hey, you can either cooperate and you get a little bit of time, or you can not cooperate and we can get you for this, that. We're going to throw the book at you. So the feds didn't want Tekashi 6ix9ine. They wanted the Nine Trey Gangsta Bloods. And the Nine Trey Gangsta Bloods served themselves up on a platter. by fumbling the bag. This is one of the biggest gang bag fumbles I've ever seen or heard about in my entire life, and it played out in front of us, right in the public view. So the consequences of all this stuff. So Tekashi 6ix9ine got like what, a year, but the rest of these guys got just huge numbers: 25 years, 11 years, life sentence, and all this could have been prevented if they'd been a little bit wiser about what they did. So now let's talk about the snitching part. And he has admitted he is a snitch. There's no doubt about it. He did snitch, but is he really a snitch? So a snitch is someone, well, yeah, he was a snitch, but people talk about the street code and the gang code. Was he really a gang member? Whether he was a member or not, was he really a gang member at heart? And so my point behind that is saying not that he should have told, but he was destined to tell. Because this guy hadn't been tried and tested. He never should have been a member of that gang. They never should have brought him in. Do business with him and expand on that business if you can. But he never should have been a part of their inner workings. They never should have involved him. Why? Because he's the goose that lays the golden egg. You want to keep that goose that lays the golden egg as squeaky clean as possible. That way you guys can keep making money. Everybody keeps making money. Instead, they let their greed, selfishness, and let their more, their worst natures, the worst parts of their natures take over. And because of it, it costs a lot of these people their freedom. Some of them will never see the light of day again. Some of them will be old men by the time they get out of prison. And so they're going to spend about half their adult lives in prison, some of them, all because they tried to force a gang criteria on a person that it wasn't suited. It wasn't suited for it. A lot of people aren't suited for that gang life. Most of the people in gangs aren't suitable for gang life. Tekashi 6ix9ine is one example. There's a lot of guys that are in gangs that shouldn't be in gangs. And I'm not speaking out of turn. Talk to some of the OGs. So the OG gangsters that are locked up probably for life. And they'll tell you a lot of these young dudes shouldn't be in gangs. I get it. They need the numbers, but this whole Tekashi 6ix9ine situation could have been handled a whole bunch differently, and the outcome probably would have been a lot better. I'm not saying the feds weren't watching them, because they're a gang. And so, and to go a little bit further, because you're a gang, RICO charges. The federal government has been able to weaponize the RICO charge. It used to be they just kind of aimed it at some of the bigger organized crime organizations, like the Italian organized crime organizations, the New York Mafia, Italian Mafia, the Russians, even some of the triads, the Tongs, the Yakuza. Now they're aiming those same guns at biker gangs and criminal street gangs. And so you're talking about criminal street gangs that have so many different things going on. And the RICO statutes are so broad and so nebulous, they can plug anything in there. As long as they can prove you're part of an organization, it's a wrap, man. It's a wrap. You're done. You're finished. And so then you have a choice: snitch or take a bunch of years. And a lot of people are taking the snitch route. And I'm not saying they should. I'm not saying they shouldn't. But what I'm saying is that this whole gang life myth, the whole aura of the gang life and the romanticization of being in a criminal street gang. Most of the guys I knew, especially out in California, admittedly, I don't know any New York gangbangers. I know a bunch of gangbangers out in California, and they would tell you, once you broke down, that barrier, and they actually were honest and real with you. A lot of them would say it's not worth it, but they were trapped. Once you join, there's two ways out. So that street ends in two. It's a one-way street that has two endings. And we all know what those endings are. I'll go into that and do a different video. But this is not to put down guys that are in gangs. What I'm saying is that most people shouldn't be in gangs, and most people shouldn't get involved in it. If you get involved in it, you need to get involved in it with both eyes wide open and understand what you're getting into. Most of you are going to be crash test dummies. You're cannon fodder. You're there to be put on the front line so someone else can direct your actions and sit back and you do all the time. You wind up in a wheelchair, you wind up in a graveyard, and they count the money. So anyway, it's your boy Russ. 6ix9ine did snitch, but he had reasons for snitching, and a big part of that reasoning for snitching was Nine Trey gangsters fumbled the bag. They mismanaged that situation in the worst way possible. Anyway, it's your boy Russ. You got any comments? Please leave them in the description below. The purpose for this is not to put down the Nine Trey gangsters. It's to point out, the mistakes they made, the mistakes a lot of people make by joining these organizations in the first place. Most of you shouldn't be there. You shouldn't be there. And this whole situation could have gone a bunch differently. And one of the people that shouldn't have been there was Danny Hernandez, aka Tekashi 6ix9ine. He shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been there. He had no need for it. Anyway, it's your boy Russ. I'm out.